Hello, my name is Silvester Henderson, and I am the CEO of Professor for Life Incorporated. I am so honored. Today we're going to get an opportunity to interview a great young scholar. I have a series called the UC Berkeley Young Inspiration Gospel Choir's Great Professional Scholar Alumni Series. And this young lady was a student of mine at UC Berkeley and have gone on to do amazing things. And I am so grateful that Miss Yolanda Jones is allowing me the opportunity to share her wonderful professional journey with the world. Good morning, Miss Jones.
Good morning, Professor Henderson. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I am so honored to be here. I'm thankful that you thought of me, and um, let's go.
Okay. You know what, Miss Jones, can you please introduce yourself to our digital media academic world? Tell us where you grew up, where you went to school. Tell us all about your education, your degrees, your passions, and all those things.
Okay. Well, as Professor Henderson said, my name is Yolanda Jones. I'm a former student of his, but I guess you can't say former because that relationship has maintained even to now. I'm always learning from Professor Henderson. One of his quotes is, "If you're on time, you're already late." So I made sure to be early today, and
Yeah.
because that's something that I've kept with me throughout my time since school has passed. I am originally from Louisiana. I'm born, partially raised there, and moved to California when I was still young. But I have a lot of my Southern roots right at the forefront of who I am as a person. I take that foundation very seriously. And I grew up the rest of my childhood in Southern California. I was blessed to come to Berkeley, UC Berkeley, for my undergraduate studies. And from there, I have actually obtained 3 3/4 of a degree since then. So I have a master's in business administration from John F. Kennedy University. I have a law degree from University of Verne College of Law, and I am completing my master's of education with multiple subjects credential from Alliant International University.
Wow. Okay. And
Um,
continue forth if you would, please.
Well, my passion has always been justice, law, just making sure that everyone is treated fairly. And so my journey has been more of a winding road than I originally planned. But God always has a plan far beyond our own. But I've had the opportunity to experience so many wonderful people and so many wonderful industries such as law, law enforcement, and things of that nature. But I've also worked I was a teacher for 5 years in alternative education, working with students who don't always get a fair shake. And I just brought everything that I'd learned over the years, and the compassion and the passion for ensuring that our young people or the next generation knows their history, know who they are, and know how to move forward in life.
Wow.
So whatever I have, I poured into them.
Wow. Miss Jones, you are an incredible professional, an incredible young lady. Can you describe your experience as a scholar at UC Berkeley and your other places that you went as well? And tell us some of your majors in addition to your law degree. Like, what was your major at Berkeley? What was your major at JFK? And kind of elaborate your experiences. Tell us some of the challenges, some of the joys, some of the concerns, and some of the growth.
Okay, well, I will start with UC Berkeley. I was pretty much in that first generation, along with my cousins of going to college. So that was an experience that I had to navigate a lot on my own. But I thank God for putting people in my path that really just kind of gave me information and instruction on how to maneuver. I had a wonderful experience at Berkeley. It's something I would never take back. I met wonderful people, many of which I'm still in contact with to today. One of my most memorable experiences was the Young Inspirational Gospel Choir with Professor Henderson here. I think because it spoke to something that was already in me, which was my faith. My faith is very important to me. And so it was a way to connect with other young people who felt the same way about their faith and their beliefs, and to, not only just connect in that way, but to have fun, to travel, to heighten and refine a skill that many of us probably learned coming up in our churches or what have you. And then, like I said, today, many of us look forward to any reunions just to be around each other and just to be with Professor Henderson. So that for me was, in a sense, home away from home, getting to know many of the other students there. And so that was one of my greatest and fondest memories of being at UC Berkeley. Of course, there were, things like the parties. There were things like one of the things that Berkeley is known for is protest. So I was exposed to that. I had not been exposed to that prior to, so I was exposed to that. But it was a good thing because you learn to speak out and against those things that you feel are unjust. And so to see those things taking place in real time for me was an experience unlike any other. Navigating academics, for me, I was a student. I worked a lot while I was at Berkeley. So I was balancing or trying to balance. I don't know if you ever really fully balance it though, but trying to balance school and work. And many of days I was tired, but just that press. And like I said, YIGC, that was like a stress reliever. And that was, it gave me that strength to keep pushing forward. And so I'm so grateful for the experience, the exposure to many different cultures of people that I had not had before, really opened my eyes to the way people think, different ways of life, and different approaches to life. So these are all experiences that culminated for me that I was able to take into the classroom and take into probation when I worked for probation as well. And just instill in young people, that's really one of my other passions is encouraging, educating, and pushing young people to experience, explore, and to be comfortable with who they are and their own voice.
Wow.
For postgraduate studies, the next thing I did was my master's in business. Again, I was working full time. By that time, I was working for the probation department and working with young people in the facilities. So I was still essentially growing up, but I learned a lot that was able to carry me and into other experiences and opened other doors for me later on when I went to pursue my law degree. Just working with young people, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, learning how to work with other people in a more professional way. Because mind you, I'm in my early 20s by this point, so it's not the job that or the jobs that I had prior to. This is, you're an adult now. This is a more professional environment, and so you have to grow up a little bit more and learn how to again maneuver through those environments. So, like I said, I just take all of those experiences and how to manage conflict and things of that nature, and pour that into the young people that I serve.
Wow. Can you, first of all, thank you for that experience. How was it being a student, a law student? What were some of the greatest challenges and some of the greatest triumphs that you overcame?
I think with law school is difficult, period, because you have to learn how to think in an entirely different way. Many people may have an aptitude for it, but you really go through a breaking down process before you're built back up. Many a days I cried. Many a days I was extremely frustrated. Many a days I didn't know if I was going to pass an exam or not. But the grit, the push, the prayers, all of that, and not giving up. That, I think that's one of the main things, is that law school really has a way of weeding people out. And if you have that tenacity, you have that grit, you have your faith, and you keep pushing to the very end, you can achieve that final part, which is graduation. And I look back over that time and I'm like, God, I don't know how, but I'm so thankful that I made it through, because I didn't have people who had gone before me. So again, many of these experiences for me were a lot of learning, a lot of falling, but a lot of getting back up along the way.
Wow. Can you describe a research project or academic experience that significantly shaped your perspective or skills today?
I would say one of the things, actually, during my time in law school, I had the opportunity to work for 2 district attorney offices in 2 separate counties. And those experiences were eye-opening experiences, simply because for my own family, we had experience with the law with a family member. And what I'd seen in the courtroom really left a bitter taste in my mouth, even though I'd loved the law from the time I was young and had wanted to pursue law school from, I would say, maybe even before middle school. But it left a bitter taste in my mouth. So working in the DA's office, the district attorney's offices, allowed me to see men and women who simply were just trying to do a job, and who were trying to speak for people who either were afraid or could not speak for themselves, and get justice. Of course, there's always a flip side to any industry, any field. You have people that care and you have people that don't care. But I met many individuals who cared about the people that they represented and cared about the job that they did. And that changed me forever. That changed my perspective forever about just the practice of law, particularly from the viewpoint of a district attorney. I worked for the family violence units, wow, where you saw, of course, abuse, young people being sex trafficked. The second district attorney's office, that was the part, sex trafficking division was underneath the family violence division. So a division within a division. And I got to work on that. And what it taught me was that typically when we think of sex trafficking, we think of sex trafficking in terms of um, uh, individuals from overseas being brought over into the United States and sold for physical labor or sexual labor. But sex trafficking is right in many of our own backyards, and
That's right.
we may not even be aware of it. Something as commonplace as, teenagers, young people going out and ending up becoming prostitutes, and you'd be surprised the male and females. It's not just relegated to females. It's definitely young males as well. And so that was definitely an eye opener, but it made me want to be there every day. It made me want to go in and listen to the various prison calls to find out any bit of information that could help us bring our case before the courts so that we could get justice for those families. And there were many other things that I was exposed to that I'll spare you guys about with, just within families, things that are not nice to hear or to talk about, but they do happen. And so these men and women fighting for the law, fighting to bring justice every day, they're seeing things and they're hearing things and they're taking those things home with them at night, day in and day out. And I can even say that working, if I kind of go back to my days of probation, being a probation officer, working closely with some of the police officers, the things that you see, the things that that they're exposed to, it can take its toll on just their humanity. So it, again, like I said, it exposed me to a different side, and to let go of that bitter taste that I had for law enforcement, and to really see how I could step in and bring what I have to make a difference and make a change.
Wow, Ms. Jones, you possess such a caring character. As I'm talking to you, I can just see such a loving, caring nature, and it's so important in society, especially in those areas where we're helping young people, that you have a heart of love and gold, and that you possess. So I want to thank you for that character. Graduate work often involves collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
How do you navigate working with peers, or how did you navigate working with some of your college peers or mentors who had different viewpoints?
For me, I think Berkeley was that foundation for me, of being able to recognize someone else's point of view, whether I agree with it or not, but to accept it as such, and to work with it, not against it. So a lot of my graduate studies, particularly my master's in business, that was a lot of project oriented work. And it was one of those things that you realize that we all have different strengths and we all have different challenges, and where this person may have challenges, this may be my strength. I've been in position where I didn't, for example, I was in a statistics class. To this day, me and statistics, we don't get along, but I had really great team members that were, they knew what they were doing. They were wonderful, and they really helped me. And so I'm the type of person, I'm like, well, okay, I'll do all the typing. You tell me what needs to be done, and I'll take care of that. So you learn how to step back when when it's not your strength, and be more support. And you learn to move forward and step forward when you do have a strength, and allow people to offer their opinions, and then we figure out a common ground. and that's how you get things done.
No,
And that
no,
has
no.
worked for me in any of my other programs. I'll say, especially with education, one of the things you have to do is do a few projects with people. And, at this point, people are working full time. They have families. You're working full time. So no one really has the time to argue. You just have time to figure out how are we going to get this done. And then you, like I said, you have a meeting of the minds, you come and you do it. So that's how that's worked for me. I don't necessarily, well, from my undergrad days, I did enjoy group projects because it seemed like it always ended up falling on me. But moving forward from that, I have had really great experiences with my partners, just people who are of the same mind. And even if we have differing opinions, there's respect is the main thing. It's the main ingredient of being able to work along with people and make, despite your differences, and get things done. And that has worked well, even in the workplace.
Well, Ms. Jones, you continue to inspire me, and it's so great to actually see how you have developed over the years, not only as a scholar, but as a professional. Having said that, because you have many short-term and long-term goals, how do you envision your research around law, social justice, contributing to your field success or to society more broadly?
That's actually something I'm still trying to figure out. In this time of transition for me, I really had an opportunity to rest, regenerate, as well as refocus on what my goals actually are. As far as law and research is always ongoing. Because the facts of a case could differ slightly, even though there's a case that's similar to it and has set some precedent regarding cases of that particular nature. Things can turn on a different fact, and so research is always ongoing with the law. And sometimes there is no research. Sometimes that case may be the case that has to set the precedent, so you have to fight for it. And so with that said, I hope that research going forward, as I step into this next season of life, will be more about really fulfilling my desires as a person, but also ensuring that I am helping the community, which has always been, again, my passion, helping the community move forward, be a driving force in some way, whether that's grandiose or whether that's very petite. It doesn't always take major things to happen. It could be small things that make change. And so I saw just how effective that was, even in the classroom I taught. And I want to kind of double back to that. One of the things I taught my students was we are a family. And as you know, in families, there's all kinds of people in your family. There's all kinds of situations in your family. But your family is your family, and we let no one come in and disrupt our family. And one of the things that happened was there was a situation where a student came in and it began to change the dynamics of our classroom. It began to upset the balance and equilibrium that was there. And my assistant told me that one of my students said, "No, you can't say that about such and such, or you can't do that because we are a family." And that was one of my defining moments, because I was like, I've instilled that into my students, and they are listening to what I'm saying. And so even those things are like research for me, to be able to take into the next phase of life and be able to use that for whatever that is. So I don't take research to just be, something that you're combing through books or combing through the internet to do. Research is also just experiences that kind of culminate, that can be used in other situations.
That's exactly right. Thank you for sharing that. Having achieved so many degrees, master's degrees, 2 or 3 masters, as well as your law degree, your bachelor's degree from Berkeley, how do you manage stress and maintain professional motivation during demanding professional and academic periods?
Oh, that's a good one, Professor Henderson, because I can't say that I've always done well with managing stress. But what I will say, one of the things that does keep me grounded is my faith. Going to church, it's something I look forward to, because that's an extension of family for me as well. So just being around those people, the hugs, the love, the smiles, all of that really just grounds me. And I've had that even with my church family since my days at UC Berkeley. The other thing, I love music and dance. So there was a time when I was able to engulf myself in music and dance. I used to take West African dance as well as salsa dance. So those were some of the ways in which I let off steam. Of course, singing, YIGC, but I even now sing in the choir in my church. I've gone back to doing that. And so it's that love. As a matter of fact, when I started singing again, I was reminded of how much I actually love to sing. And so it's those are the things, and spending time with friends, just talking and spending time with friends, or sometimes just taking a moment, taking a drive. One of the things I used to love when I was at Berkeley was going down to the Berkeley Marina and just sitting there and just watching the water. That's also something I did when I was younger in Southern California. I would go down to the beach and just sit there and just listen to the waves. But also those would be my moments of prayer, and just calm and serene. So those are some of the ways in which I have managed stress. I'm learning as I get older, I have to be more vigilant about managing stress, because,
right.
As you get a little bit older, the body doesn't always react the way, or you can't carry that stress the way you used to. So in times past, I would do those things, but a lot of times I would just push forward or bulldoze through. But I've learned that I can't do that anymore. And I have learned that I have to take a step back and assess what is working for me and what do I need to let go of, so that I can maintain.
That was a great answer. That was the perfect answer, because managing stress is an evolutionary matter. It takes time to figure out, and what you do in 1985 may be something different than what you do in 1995. But the issue is just to be aware. What personal qualities or habits do you believe will help you succeed in completing your current graduate school and just some of your professional goals as you are in a transition period, And I want to change that word or ask you to consider this transition as opposed to an evolutionary period. Because you have evolved. You've had many different opportunities: academic, professional, political, civic, social, religious. These are all different opportunities. And then as we continue in life, we realize, all of these things culminate into a basket that is now taking you to another place in life. And so I just want to ask, what sort of personal qualities do you believe or habits have you possessed or gathered in order to help you succeed in some of your present goals that you have?
One of the things I have to say that first, let me start off by saying that and speaking to the point that you made, what may have worked in 1985 may not work in 1995. So one of the things I've had to do is reassess in this ever evolving life of mine, reassess certain habits that I need to get rid of, and work on habits that I need to refine. And so one of those things that I'm working on is being disciplined. And first, that's starting my day with prayer and reading my word. And that is one of the main things, because I do find that when I do that, I'm a lot more grounded and centered and ready for the day. Just brings everything back into focus for me. The other thing is creating disciplined habits, because when I was younger, I could do this and I could move at the drop of a dime and I could be out the door by a certain time. And so one of the things that I've done is making sure that, if I know I'm going somewhere, is to make sure that I get things out and prepare the night before. So I know it may sound small, but it makes a big difference in the morning when you're having to get ready for whatever you're getting ready to go to. The other thing I would have to say is being conscientious and aware of my focus. I think in today's time, we have our phones and things of that nature, and it's really easy to get distracted. It's really easy for the mind to kind of go all over the place. And so one of the things that I've been working on is being conscientious, being aware of when I start to drift off focus and remain and bring myself back into focus. Because, a lot of time can be wasted when you're allowing distractions to get the best of you. I would also say quality. I would also say just continuing to be that caring person that I am. And the reason why I say that is because I have found that just by being my true self with other people, at times when I need it most, I'm surprised by the love and the support that I receive. And it gives me that strength. It gives me that confidence. It gives me that encouragement that I need in that moment to keep moving forward or to keep to stay focused. And so I would say those are some of the qualities that work for me, are working for me, that I am still honing.
Ms. Jones, we are coming close to the end of our interview, and I want you to know that the quality that you mentioned of love and care symbolizes who you are. Because in all that we do in life, whether it is education, whether it is some work in policy and procedure, whether it is political, whether it is religious, love and care should be at the core and the mission of all that we do, even in the criminal justice world. even in
Absolutely.
prison, love and care should be in the center, because that's God's plan, that we love one another and love society. I have just one more question for you before I finally thank you for giving me the time. And I want you to know that you were great. You did wonderful. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to allow me to speak with you, because I think it's so important for people to see young people. And you may have a dream in 1 year, and then as you evolve in life, things may change, and that's quite okay. I think that means that you are developing as an adult, not that you're not sure. It just means that things change, life change, clothing change, hairstyles change, and so our interests change as well. Can you just kind of finalize some of your future goals and share any thoughts and ideas you would like to communicate finally with our digital world?
Well, my future goals are to definitely take and pass the bar. I'm also currently working on one of my final state requirements to receive my licensure for my teaching degree. So I've been teaching, but I still had to obtain the license. So as you know, life happens, and so took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but I'm right there, and so I'm thankful for that. So that speaks to one of the things that I would say before I continue is that it doesn't matter how long it takes you to do something. If you continue to pursue it, if you persevere, and don't give up, the goal is right in your hand. Um, and that's something that I had to learn, not to be too hard on myself. So that's another nugget that I would give. And I know if people have said that, or you may hear that a lot on social media, but it really is a big thing. And I think for those of us who have had to overcome a lot and achieve a lot, and press through a lot, we are the hardest on ourselves. So when things don't go quite as expected or quite as planned, we tend to get down on ourselves. So be gracious to yourself and don't be so hard. Um, my other goal, like I said, is to take and pass the bar. I would eventually like to open my own practice. And as far as what area of law that will be, that remains to be seen. But I'm excited for this next season and this new chapter. And I want to speak to something you said just a moment ago. When I was younger, I thought I had a plan for exactly how my life was gonna go. I had it all planned out, marriage, children, career, all of that. And things have so not gone the way that I planned. But as I said before, God always has a plan, and I have found myself happier, and more at peace and more at rest. In the things that I have actually been able to experience, the professional experiences that I've had, the educational experience that I've had. So I'm actually getting a little older now, but the way I'm viewing it is that this next chapter, this next season of my life must have some amazing stuff in store, because it took this winding road to get to this very moment. And so instead of looking at it as, oh, I didn't accomplish this, or I failed that, I'm looking at it as you've done a lot of things, and you've done them well, and you've been blessed and been afforded the opportunity to experience all of these things. And so all of these things they're going to come in handy for something that you're meant to do down the line. And so those are some nuggets, and those are some of my goals that I will leave with you.
Wow. You know what? Your personality, your vision, your honesty, and your care is lovely, and it's infectious. And so it simply radiates a caring individual who has evolved with great goals and aspirations going forward. I want to thank you for you taking the time to allow me to interview you. I interview professionals all over the world, but my whole life has been really centered around young people and students and scholars. And so as you are an alumni student of mine, I want to thank you for taking your time and sharing your goals. I deeply love you. I'm proud of you, and I wish nothing but Godspeed in everything you do. Thank you once again.
Thank you. I love you as well, Professor Henderson. It has been an honor. I often say to my cohort of YIGC, I feel for the students that are coming now because they will never get to experience what we experience. They just won't. And YIGC was a godsend for me, and I'm sure many will have the same testimony with that. And I love YIGC to this day. So I thank you, Professor Henderson, for being who you are, being how you are, the things that you instilled in us, that many of us carry to this day. I'm sure there are many sayings that many of the YIGC community will have that we've heard you say 1,000 times over. But I promise you, those things have stuck with us. Even when I started singing back with the choir, all of those techniques that you taught us, I employed those techniques. So you have been a wonderful change agent for so many. And so I thank you. And I am honored that you decided to interview me. So thank you again.
God bless you.
God
and
bless
have
you.
a lovely day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.